Drew, one of the most underappreciated positions out there. How about the running back position? Everybody needs them, right? It's been devalued, especially at the NFL level, at the collegiate level. These guys have a tendency to play pretty early, and we got some immediate impact type of players that we're going to talk about. Let's start with a guy that you were very excited about. We're talking about it this morning. We're putting this list together. How about Kaden Durham going to LSU?
Yeah, Kaden Durham, he's playing his best football right now. His final 5 games at Duncanville High School there in Texas averaged close to 225 yards on the ground. We saw him in the Polynesian Bowl, led that all-star game in rushing yards. I thought he should have been offensive MVP. He wasn't. It went to Mike Matthews, the wide receiver headed to Tennessee. But Kaden Durham, he can go. Once he finds a crease in a defense, he can find the end zone. And Cooper, I know you're well-versed on the LSU roster. There's an opportunity for him to get on the field. They want to throw it around the yard, but there's a need at running back for LSU. Kaden Durham seems like a guy.
Logan Diggs comes over from Notre Dame. He hits a portal. Now he's at Ole Miss. Noah Cain is out of there as well. They still got a really talented room with guys like Caleb Jackson, Trey Holly. They expect some things from. But you think about LSU, the dynamic of them. Jaden Daniels is not there anymore. The Heisman Trophy winner. You take away his legs, LSU traditionally is going to have to get back to the ground, so it's going to be interesting. I think Caleb Durham can make an early impact. Drew, how about our guy here, Dilin Jones, Wisconsin, got a wrestling background. His head coach has got a wrestling background too, Luke Fickell. But you talk about patience, vision, a guy with contact balance, being able to kind of bounce around and create yards after contact. Man, is that Dilin Jones. I love this guy. I know you're a big fan of him as well.
Yeah, Wisconsin took 3 running backs, and they need to because they're losing a ton of production. You think about the Badgers, Phil Longo there, air raid offense. Well, Cooper, they still ran for 161 yards per game. That was 6th in the Big Ten. Dilin Jones fits Big Ten football for me. This is a guy that can get it done between the tackles. Had a chance to see him back in May at that Under Armour camp in Baltimore. It was loaded with the mid-skill position. Dilin Jones was my favorite. I think we are an outlier on him in the industry. You talk with some people there that cover Wisconsin, they don't even think Dilin Jones is the top back. But this is a guy we stamp, right? We think he's going to come in and play right away, especially with Brandon Allen off to the NFL. Big fan of Dilin Jones.
Are we just Wisconsin guys? I mean, you think about this class, right? What, the highest ranked recruiting class since 2010, the 24/7 Sports era. We're going to talk about Wisconsin a little bit later in the show, but I love this fit. If you haven't noticed, you're out there right now and you're kind of wondering, all right, who are those deceptive teams? We talk a lot about the teams in the top 10. What about those teams kind of 20 to 25? We're talking about it later on the show. Wisconsin's one of those teams, and Luke Fickell, he's got a track record, especially when it comes to development, that position as well. How about Florida, Drew? Kaden Daniels, this kid out of Mississippi, late riser for us, back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. You think about all he can do. Trevor Etienne, he jumps in the portal. Where's he going? Well, he's going to Georgia, right? So you think about guys like Montrell Johnson, Trayon Webb. You throw in a guy like Kaden Daniels, Jabbar Jalouk, the running back coach over there. He's got to be pretty excited about what this kid can provide from day one in Gainesville.
Yeah, turn on the tape from that Mississippi 5A state title game. 28 carries, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had another, 400-yard performance earlier in the season. Tons of Florida fans tagging us in that. Billy Napier likes to play multiple running backs. I watch a lot of Florida football. Trayon Webb is a guy we liked in the 2023 cycle. He got his feet wet. I think Kaden Daniels can come in and be the dude behind Montrell Johnson and allow things to open up for Graham Mertz and potentially DJ Lagway. So another running back where you think about who's he similar to? Kind of like a CJ Baxter last cycle, a Mark Fletcher. These big frame running backs. We saw CJ Baxter help Texas make the college football playoff. Mark Fletcher got a ton of run at Miami. I could see a similar type of role for Kaden Daniels there in Gainesville.
A lot of big things to expect from Kaden Daniels. I'm going to off-road a little bit. Another guy that I know you're familiar with. How about the All-American Bowl? You look up and you say, who is that guy? Every day at practice, in the game as well. How about Nate Frasier going to Georgia, man? They just keep him coming. I don't know about the immediate impact because that's a loaded room and a lot of talent, but this dude, they go all the way out to California to nab a guy like this. Drew, I think this is going to be a guy we look up from 2 to 3 years from now. Saturday, SEC football, this is going to be a name to know.
Best part about those all-star games, right, is you get to see all these different individuals in the same type of setting. Showed up in San Antonio. I saw Nate Frasier run one route. I'm like, who is that? Because I didn't have the roster in front of me. He just moves different than others. He's got that burst. Fast forward to the game, caught that wheel route for a long touchdown. I agree. Georgia, their identity on offense is running the football behind a really, really, really big offensive line. They've brought in multiple backs. I think Nate Frasier could be a featured ball carrier, a potential workhorse for the Bulldogs at some point down the line. Yeah, I absolutely loved him. He's dealt with some injuries. Guy that was still on my freaks list. Just kind of a ball of muscle. We saw him in the hotel there at the All-American Bowl. Excited to see what he's going to do in Athens.